Albert Awol, the voice of the jungle, broadcasting on the DVC to all points unknown. If you're within the sound of my voice, you're listening to Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Hello and welcome home. Thank you for joining us on episode 225 of Welcome Home, a Disney Parks and Vacation Club podcast. I'm Tom. I'm here with Trevor and Damon. What's up, guys?
I still feel like 225 should be something. I know it's not,
so?
but I don't know.
You said that last week.
Yeah.
It's an in-between milestone.
Yeah, the in-between milestone. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've been busy. It's been hot. We've been getting a lot of tennis tournaments in, for sure. I've been recording a lot of video. I just did first toy, video in I want to say 9-10 years, which is awesome. Seems to be doing well, but go ahead and watch it. Started back up Toy Royalty and didn't realize how hard it is to bring a website that's been dead for 9 years back. It's way harder than starting a new one, but I just love the logo and the name, so I have to bring it back.
Because you got to fight the algorithm now, right?
Oh yeah, dude. And I'm it's brutal because what happened is that the redirect broke probably 5 years ago. So it's 5 years of Google just being steaming mad at a redirect that was wrong. And now going back and fixing it, there's 350 pages. I think one is indexed right now. I think that's it. So yes, it's been a fair amount of work bringing it back. I'll let you know in a month because, Google, if I say, hey, can you validate this fix? They're like, yeah, maybe in a few weeks. So we'll see how it comes back. But I think the thing that I'm doing today, which is going to be the most fun, and I think people should appreciate it from earlier shows, is that we're recording a video about t-shirts. So my son, who loves vintage t-shirts, finally I started going through mine because, I'd counted them when we did that contest for the show. But then I started going through and finding out what's vintage. And again, because time gets away from you, as it does for everybody, I was like, oh yeah, that one's pretty new. 1994. You know what I mean?
I was going to ask you, what's considered vintage at this point?
25. It's always 25 years.
Is it 25? Okay.
Yeah.
Our teenage years, Tom.
Okay. Yeah, teenage years. Yeah.
I mean, and
it came
again,
from the 90s.
The stuff that I found, and I was like, I can't believe how old this is. So what we decided to do is break it up into 3 piles, which is going to turn into more. And we're going to do kind of a funny video. He's going to go through and steal some of my shirts sort of thing. So we'll see how that turns out. But going through this, again, I didn't realize how collectible some of the Disney shirts are by vintage tee people. Well, you know what I mean? I kind of consider them different subsets of people, but they're really not. So, yeah, I've been doing a lot. And then just, again, trying to follow along with, what we're doing for next year Disney-wise and kind of talking to some people. We've had some people reach out, I think my wife's sister is going to Disney with their kid for the first time. I think she's 2, right? Wow. So yeah, everyone's got to reach out and ask questions and, and then say things that you just know are just not going to happen, right? So we're going to do this and this and this. And no, you're not.
Logistically, no.
Yeah. Logistically with a kid, you are absolutely not, and then they were talking about just going to Magic Kingdom and skipping all the other parks. And I'm like, why would you do
that?
Why? Yeah. So again, I feel like we're always the people that want to help, but I always find that at the end of the day, no matter what you tell people, they're still just going to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
It's more of a, and it's not even you're going to tell them, I told you. So it's more of you kind of behind the scenes go, yeah, that's not going to work. So we'll see how it goes. I told them with a 2-year-old, listen, you're going to want to come back in the middle of the day anyway. Why don't you just park hop? To skip Animal Kingdom is
with
tough.
A 2-year-old. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then they're talking about skipping, Epcot. Well, if your favorite thing is Frozen, how do you skip Epcot? Yeah. And then again, if it was me and I was going with a 2-year-old and I was in, again, they're not hurting for revenue, let's say. I would just lightning lane everything I wanted. I feel like.
Yeah.
I almost feel like you have to at this point.
You could, yeah.
Well, because you're stuck, right? It's not like there's any fast passes anymore in theory. I mean, you get Genie Plus, but I mean,
That's limited.
It's limited.
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel like you're going in your lightning lane. This is the first time, again, because it hasn't impacted me directly, but I thought to myself, like, yeah, you really might have to put out, and kind of budget in a fair chunk of extra money for that. Now, with 3 of them, it's not so bad, but still, I feel like you're going to have to do that with Frozen. I mean, you don't have to, but I feel like you should.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to wait in a 45-minute to 60-minute line with a 2-year-old.
No.
Yeah, time functions differently when you have small kids, right?
I was kind of thinking at 2, like what those rides are, right? So I thought to myself, said, okay, so let's call Frozen. I want to say Ratatouille, I feel like as
Ratatouille.
well.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I go over to Hollywood Studios, I think Mickey and Minnie's, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, don't forget the C's over at Epcot, though, too. And you can also do Spaceship Earth, too, with that age.
But I'm saying that you don't have to worry about those in terms of Lightning Lane, right?
Oh, no.
Yeah, those are
you're talking Lightning Lane.
Yeah. And then so I think about at Toy Story, I don't think at 2 you got to even do the coaster. So I think you could skip that. And I don't think at 2 you really are worried about the game one. Toy Story Mania. No, so I think you skip both those. I mean, I don't know if I'd ever in my life Lightning Lane the saucers, so I think I'd just wait for those. I wouldn't Lightning Lane those. All right, now...
Actually, I think the saucers have a height limit, I think. You got to be... Oh, yeah, 32 inches. I just Googled this. Yeah.
Okay.
So probably don't even make the height limit.
Yep. Okay, so now we're at Magic Kingdom. What am I doing at Magic Kingdom, right? Like, I feel like everything there, but what do I really have to worry about paying for?
I mean, if you really want to do Peter Pan, that's going to be tough.
And Seven Dwarfs is height limit.
No, yeah, I don't think you don't worry about that. So you're talking about Peter Pan, Small World, no pirates,
Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah. Enchanted Tales with Belle usually doesn't have a thing, and Little Mermaid usually is pretty short line.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
And then at Animal Kingdom, what am I even worried about there?
I mean, really,
ride-wise,
definitely. What's that?
Ride-wise, probably Kilimanjaro would be.
But I not a lot of kids stuff there outside of the animals, right? Like it's basically Navi River Journey and Kilimanjaro Safaris. And
Kilimanjaro's, I feel like, is skippable at 2.
You think so?
Yeah, I do.
I mean, you could do the Gorilla Trail.
Yeah.
And get a similar experience.
I think it's skippable at 2. I think, not skippable at 4, but I think it's skippable at 2, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I could see that.
So, I mean, I guess maybe you're talking 5 or 6 that you're paying out of pocket for, but what is that money wise? I mean, that could be, right? Like, could be what?
Yeah.
$300?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Which I guess isn't the worst, but.
But again, it's that trade-off of your time versus your money, and especially with little kids, like you said, you're not able to tell a 2-year-old, well, we're going to be here for the next hour. Like they just almost don't function that way.
Yeah,
right?
You just pony up that $300, and that's that.
That's it. Yeah.
But I think that's probably all I would do in terms of Lightning Lane at that point, at that age, personally.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
get that.
Just a thought, just something different to talk about since we got I was told we have no questions. I think because I'm not asking for them. Is that what it is, Tom?
Yeah. I mean, I might have done it last minute because you haven't been posting in the group. So
Tom is not as on point. He's busier than me.
I'm not busier than you, but I just forget stuff like that sometimes. So.
Is there a way that because I know like we put out the post asking for listener questions. Can we do like a tag or something? So like if somebody has a question, like they can tag it for the show.
I almost think you could probably automate that post with Facebook Business anyway.
We probably could do that.
Yeah.
We probably
we'll figure out something so that we're not so that people can remember to get their questions in.
Yeah.
So because I get it. You don't think about it until you're prompted, and that's fair.
No.
So you can actually create a post in Facebook Business under Planner, and you could at least do it for like a month.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
I do. Oh, interestingly enough, though, I see that World Chocolate Day is July 7th.
Oh, okay. We do a whole episode about Chocolate Worlds and Hershey Park.
Back to Hershey Park again.
I love Hershey. We're definitely going next year. So anyone that's in that area, plan for the Welcome Home East Coast Northern
East Coast meetup. I wanted to mention you guys. So like my wife and I are kind of dealing with a minor conundrum here. We were trying to figure out what we're going to do because So we were talking yesterday, because we're halfway through the year at this point, and I was thinking to what happened was we bought some new furniture, right? And they told us it was going to take 12 weeks, right? And I was like, 12 weeks,
crazy these days, man.
Yeah, it is, right? And I was like, okay, fine, whatever, right? But I was like thinking to myself, I was like, man, that's like gonna basically be October, and then we're gonna be into like Halloween and stuff. And I was like, it didn't feel like it should be that soon, right? So that got my wife and I talking about, well, what are we gonna do for Thanksgiving this year, right? Like, what are we gonna do? We usually have people come to us.
Yep.
But so I'm getting to the Disney part of this, but
you don't have to, like, it's okay.
No. I think anybody that's listening to the show, I've mentioned this before. My parents retired in Florida. They live about an hour and 15 minutes or so from Disney. And they've been kind of begging us to come down and spend some time with them. And I said to my wife, well, what if we spend the week of Thanksgiving with them? And then I said to her, I was like, if we're going to be an hour away from Disney, like, I feel like we kind of got to go.
Okay. I mean, I went a few times at Thanksgiving. It is interesting because you have that weird holiday food situation, right? Yeah. Which I loved, by the way, like probably like my favorite food situation in general.
Yeah.
But the problem I think you're in a bit of a better situation. The problem lies on Thanksgiving itself.
Oh, yeah. We wouldn't do Thanksgiving itself. Yeah.
Thanksgiving food on Thanksgiving. Listen, there is, but it's not easy without a reservation. And it seems like it sucks up your day and is super expensive. But interestingly enough, the day after Thanksgiving, as part of that food festival, what is that called? The holiday, whatever.
It is like the holiday. I forget what it's called.
There is Thanksgiving at the American Pavilion at Epcot, and it's phenomenal. But why can't I just get that on Thanksgiving? Like, I get that you have this food thing, but like you can't just make an exception for just the American Pavilion for that day.
It's the International Festival of the Holidays.
Yes,
it starts
which is
November
awesome because it's got the cookie thing too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. But that's my knock on it.
Well, no, that makes sense. I think if we do it, right? So like where this comes in is we're thinking to ourselves, well, what if we bought annual passes and then we could pop down for like even just a half day, and then we're going to use the annual passes next year anyway for the trip we're going to take, right?
Can you use them during that time frame?
That's the question, right? So we need to look into that too, because it might be blacked out that whole week. I'm not sure though, but
it's
or
the sorcerer, right?
Yeah, what's the DVC annual pass these days?
Keep going with your thoughts. I'll get you some info.
So, you figured that one out. But so the other thought though was, I was like, well, I said to my wife yesterday, I said, what about instead of doing that, we just do the Christmas party, right? Like we just buy tickets for the Christmas party, and then we don't buy regular tickets and go. We just go and do the Christmas party. The problem is my daughter's 5 and goes to sleep at 7:00 every night when the party starts. So,
but here's the thing though, and I like that idea. Because what you're talking about doing then is hopefully forcing a nap that day because you're not going to do anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly.
I think that's kind of what you do. Like I was always that sort of person. So, okay, so if you're talking about that day, then the night before, like I'm keeping them up super late. And then I'm kind of getting them up early that day too. They might be a little grumpy. So you're going to doom yourself for a grumpy day, but then you let them go to sleep like stupid early. And then, maybe nap, and then you should be good, right? Like you keep them up late, get them up early, and then like they're totally struggling at like 12:00. Boom, nap time till 5.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I mean, well, that's the problem. It's like the party's from 7 to midnight, right? So it's like my daughter's never stayed up past 10:00.
How old is she again?
5. She's 5. So
yeah, I think you do that. I think that's the vibe. Like, listen, I get she'll be tired, but that's okay because if you're only doing that and then staying at your parents' house, you're not like kind of I'm air quoting wasting the day before or after at Disney.
Yeah, I mean, we're just talking about hanging out there for a week, basically, just hanging out in Florida for a week during during Thanksgiving time, and it's like, why don't we go down? My daughter can see the decorations. She would love to see all that stuff. So
sorry, when is Thanksgiving?
The third Thursday of November.
So the 23rd of November.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Is it the third or the fourth week? Now I don't know.
So annual pass blackout on the Sorcerer is from the 22nd to the 25th.
Yeah, you're beat then.
22nd to the 25th. I would probably be going like the 19th. I'd probably be going the weekend before Thanksgiving.
So yeah, you could do up to the 21st, and then you could continue on the 26th if you're there.
But when's the holiday party?
Well, they have a couple dates during that time. So I looked. They had one. Let's see. So most likely when we're going to be there is from like the 18th to like the 25th. That's just back in the we like haven't made the full plans yet, right? But like we'll probably be in Florida from the 18th to the 25th or something like that, like a full on week. And if we're going to do that, we would probably do Disney on like the 19th or the 20th, I would think. And I think there's a party happening on the 19th is what I think I saw.
That sounds, because they're usually like Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, let me see. I'm gonna look it up really quick here. But I mean, I looked at it, but the problem is though too, like the prices on that party, man, have gone so high. They start at $159 a person.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's that's a little rough, man.
It is, but we've gone back. Like we talked about this a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
That that there is something to be said for the opportunity of this time in your life.
I agree.
Your daughter is at an age where and I saw some of the follow-up comments to this actually. So since we're talking about this now, some people, I saw a couple of people say, their kids still recall things that they did when they were younger. And when we said, it's going to be fuzzy, not every kid, remembers things the same way. So I guess it's not fair to say, that they won't remember.
Absolutely not. But here's the part. You don't know, right?
Yeah.
Never, they're going.
If you don't
back.
do it, you don't know, right? Like,
yeah, but then what if you do it and then they don't remember, right? Then I feel like it's tough.
Then you still have photos you can show them.
Well, and that's what I don't
remember.
And that's what I always tell people, like, especially like if you're going and your kid is under 10, like a lot of that is for you as well as them, right? So you got to make sure you get those photos because again, like it's rare, even now, right, at my age, like I don't go back and look at photos of myself growing up, except at a far glance, but nostalgically, I look at photos of my kids growing up, right? So think about that as you kind of move forward, right? It's a little bit more about like photos for yourself at that age, I feel like. But yeah, it's tough because it is this weird money, memory trade-off, but I always feel like you can never, again, you should always just, like Trevor's saying, do. And if they don't remember, okay. And if they do, even better. But worst case, you got pictures. That's why I always feel like the pho pass is like key at that age. Yeah. Like it's not so much for me now, but at that age, it was key to have that.
Yeah, I get that. Like, and for me, it's funny because, you talk to so many people that take their kids for the first time and have been before they had kids. And like when they realize it's different, not only in just the way you do your trip, but it's like, seeing Disney through their eyes is a whole different thing, right? Like it's like seeing my daughter be amazed by all this stuff is an experience in itself for me. You know what I mean?
Oh, totally.
And so like for me, it's almost like let's do the Christmas party, like because I know she'll, even if she doesn't remember it, I'm gonna remember it. Like I'm gonna remember her reaction to it, and I don't know. It's just something we talked about. I'm not really sure.
I'm gonna throw this out here. Okay, the movie Inside Out.
Yeah. Of course.
It lied to us. Yeah. So it lied to us though, because the thing is like what you're talking about is you are establishing core memories, but the core memories are not as crystal clear as that movie tries to project them. Right? Like sometimes it's and I guess like for my son, like when I talk to him, he doesn't remember certain things, but then like you can see like when we go back to Disney and kind of like Damien, like we've been enough times that like he knows it now, but there are certain things that things that I didn't even think were a big deal at the time that he attached to, and that he like it's not that he remembers like the whole trip, but it's like we walk by something, he's like, oh, that thing, and it's like those little bits and pieces actually kind of form those core memories. Yeah. And so like for your daughter, like I know what you're saying is, you're kind of like, well, you go and you're not sure if it's going to matter, but at some point she's going to look back on it and it's, it may not be like remembering it the way that you do, but she's going to have something tied to that and she's going to have some fondness of it and you're going to have something you can connect with her on. Yeah. Right. Like I think that's the more important thing is that you have that shared experience and she doesn't have to remember it all, but that you both had that experience,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that kind of goes back to what Damon was saying, is like the looking at photos and all that kind of stuff. That's for us. And it sounds selfish, but it's not. As parents, we want to give all this stuff to our kids, whether they know it or not.
Yeah.
Well,
and I would say during that time frame, where Tom is now, I was going twice a year, every year with the kids.
Yeah.
And then, again, it progressively got less as they got older, but I'm happy that we were going twice a year at that time frame.
Well, and but to your point about the pictures though too, right? Like, so we have Google Homes all around the house that have have the screen and just have a running thing of all of our photo albums, right? So my daughter remembers things from our trip from just seeing that. Like, she'll just be sitting on the couch and she'll just look and she'll go, Daddy, look, Frozen. Like, you know what I mean? She'll like remember stuff from the trip, from like the photos, like, because we just have a running photo album going on, in the photo frame. So like, I think that it'd be worth it, right? Like, I know it's a lot of money. I do think it'd be worth it. My bigger concern is that she's just going to fall asleep. Like, that's really my big concern, is that she's just not going to be able to stay up for it. And like, I'd hate to pay $160 for her to just sleep in a stroller, So,
well, dude, you just don't get the stroller. Like, you just got to pony up, man.
I don't get the stroller, then I'm going
that-
to be carrying her.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
You did get a nap the day before yourself.
Yeah.
I got a story for you.
Okay.
So Disneyland, we were there with my son when he was 7. So a little bit older, but we did the same kind of thing where we had a park day planned, and then part of it was we're like, well, we're going to watch the fireworks, but we didn't think about like how long we'd been going that day. And we ended up in the evening. Our plan was, we wanted to be near the hub, and so in Magic Kingdom, where Crystal Palace is, there's a place called Jolly Holiday in Disneyland. And so we went there, we got some food and we got a table, and we were just sitting waiting for the fireworks. And my son fell asleep at the table. And so I felt, my wife and I felt so bad, because like he was just like head down, just, sleeping. And we were waiting for the fireworks, and then the fireworks started, and he was kind of like groggy and like
half awake.
What? Yeah. And like we were kind of nudging him to like watch the fireworks, and then he didn't like he didn't remember it. So and like it ended up being that he was barely at that age where I could still carry him. Like, we didn't have a stroller, so I ended up like piggybacking him back to the room, which was fine. But the funny thing is that in and of itself became the memory, not that we watched the fireworks together. It's, we remember, we tried so hard this day, and you fell asleep at Jolly Holiday, and we have a laugh about that. So it's not always what you expect, I guess, is what to, if you're going to plan these things, maybe she does fall asleep in the stroller, and that's just part of it. Right.
That is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, to your point though, like, my daughter, and I wish I could do what Damon's is saying here, because my daughter's always been the kid that like literally she'll have babysitters here, and we'll just tell them like, whenever she's ready to go to bed, and she like will go and tell the babysitters, I'm tired, time for bed. Right. Like, so like, that's how my daughter is. She's not like I want to stay up till 10 o'clock kid. She's just never been that way. And she like wakes up at 6 a.m. every day on the dot. Like, and she's just very regulated that way, right? So like, if I could do the thing where I keep her up till midnight and then give her a little sleep and then give her a nap and then try to keep her up, I would do that. I just don't know if it would work. But again, to your point, Trevor, like, it doesn't matter. Like, maybe she naps for a little bit while we're walking around, and then she wakes up from 11 to midnight and sees something. I don't know. But it was an interesting thought that we had. We were trying to figure out what we want to do. If we want to do a full day, we want to just do Christmas stuff. Like, I think at a minimum for me, it's like, I can't be an hour away from Disney and not pop in for at least, half a day, do something. Like, I can't, It's way too close for me not to do something. So, and I've talked about it on the show, we hadn't been planning anything, right? Like, we had no plans for a trip this year, but because we're going to spend this week in Florida, it's like, well, we're like an hour away, so let's do something.
Yeah, sometimes it's just about opportunities, right? It's the plan.
Heck, I'd just go and ride the Skyliner around for a little while. My daughter loves the Skyliner. It's basically a ride for her. So,
yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So that's something we're kind of trying to figure out right now. And I mean, obviously, it's fairly last minute. You're talking, 4 months from now. But yeah, truthfully, we haven't even booked our trip for next year yet, so we haven't figured those dates out yet. So, this is why I was joking when someone said that I forget who, somebody said on the Facebook something about the Skyliner coming to Animal Kingdom, right, to the lodge and to the park, and I was like, can we not do that? Like, I kind of want Animal Kingdom to remain like a little hidden gem for me.
It's your secret spot, It
is.
I explained about how the Polynesians are secret spot. So.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I was just saying, I get it. You don't want people to mess with your stuff, and if you as much as the Skyliner is convenient, it's a double-edged sword because it opens it up to people just showing up there, right?
Well, because the big knock on Animal Kingdom is that the only way you can get places is buses, and it takes a while to get there, right? So like you add the Skyliner in, now all of a sudden there's a fast and easy way to get other places, and it's like that kind of takes away the one knock. Yeah, as much as I would like it there, trust me, I would be very happy if it was there, but yeah. So anyway, if anybody wants to chime in on this in the group or in the Discord or anywhere else, I appreciate any thoughts anybody has about my thoughts here. The other part is I am a little bit concerned about going the week of Thanksgiving. We did the week of Christmas one time, and it was shoulder to shoulder, like pushing our way through crowds, and that was before having a kid. Now, given it's nice having the stroller because the stroller is like it gets people out of the way, as bad as that sounds. But not that I run people over the strollers. I don't like when people, clip people in the back of the ankle.
The ankle, ankle wrecker.
Yeah. But I mean, it does help.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so I don't know. That's the other concern I have is that it's just going to be too busy. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, you'll need to look at some crowd calendars for that time because it's. I feel like, definitely like on Thanksgiving it gets busier, but usually there's like a bit of a lull before that. So you may hit that sweet spot before people really get there.
Definitely possible. Yeah. All right. Let's talk about some actual topics that we, since we were talking about other things. So a little bit of DVC. There's not a ton of news this week. I'll be upfront. But there's a DVC member photo thing that they're doing. They're doing like a hotel for the Disneyland Hotel. They're doing like a mosaic of member photos, which is kind of cool. I like this idea. They're going to put like these photo booths up at the lounge, the two lounges at Disney Springs and Aulani, and then you can go and take your picture, and you can get a printed photo, which we actually did at the one time we stayed in Hilton Head. They had like a little photo booth like that. So. And we still have that photo that it's just like a little printed like photo booth, but they're also going to use, it seems like they're going to do like this mosaic at the new villas, which I think is a cool idea.
Yeah. One thing to add to that. So they're going to have these photo booths, at these different sites, but I did see also that they're going to have, there's actually a website. There's nothing on there yet, but, people who can't make it to the parks will be able to, go to this website to upload photos as well to potentially be included on the mosaic. Because initially my thought was like, well, that's, great for those people that can go and get photos. It's not, it shouldn't be that, everybody gets everything all the time. But
sure,
it was just another one of those like, oh, I'm not at the park at the right time or something. Right. But, they're extending it out to, people can upload photos on this website at some point. It looks like it's not available now.
And is mosaic going to be like, you're going to be able to see yourself? Is it going to be one of those mosaics that, you really can't see yourself?
Like the tombstones at Epcot?
No, I meant yes and no. I meant more like, like when people do a mosaic that forms a greater picture out of other pictures.
I wonder
if it's impossible to find.
I wonder if it's going to be something like that or not.
I was imagining it as just being like a screen somewhere at the resort, and that they'll have like rotating photos and like a scrapbook kind of format. That was just what my guess was. They don't really have that many details though. Like it just says photos will be included in a mural set to be unveiled at the 20. So maybe they're going to select photos.
That's what it sounds like. Is that this isn't going to be a like changing thing? It's going to be they're going to make it and that's it.
Or I still go with my thought where it's going to be a big mosaic made up of all the photos that if you zoomed in with a microscope you could see yourself, but that might be about it.
Yeah.
I do like those, by the way, too, when they form the photos out of the mosaics.
Oh, yeah. This article says it is not known what form the mosaic will take or how long it will be presented. So I guess we'll find out more on 7/6 when the website actually is up. Maybe they'll explain what it's going to be. But I just like this idea. I think it's a cool idea. As a way to, recognize members and all that.
I do like that they were very clear about there's no talk of how long this will be presented for, because people like, it's like the pavers yeah, right, and I get people paid for those, but it's just funny how people
still hurts my feelings though, dude.
but I get it, but at the same time it's like I find it funny that people are like, oh, they did this thing and you expect it to be around for like 50 years, but Disney is constantly changing things, so why would you ever assume that? I
assumed it would be around for longer than it was, but because there was no reason for them to get rid of it, to be honest with you. That's the thing. Like, they really didn't need to. That's how I felt about it. Like, I don't know.
Maybe it was hard to maintain and we weren't
seeing. It could have been. Absolutely could have been.
One side of it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, weren't they way past their original lifetime?
They were, absolutely. Yeah. I have no reason to be upset, but like, still, because I didn't do myself. I did my grandparents, right? Like, so it was more like just frustrating in that regard. But yeah, I mean, it was you know what? I think probably for me, the worst part is that I got a picture of my two boys with that stone when it was still in, but not with my daughter. I think it would have been better if I had at least, like, even if she was 1 and I just put her on the ground, you know what I mean? Like, hey, sit there, we're taking a picture. Like, I think that would have been better. It doesn't feel the same though.
It doesn't, no.
Yeah.
Well, and I also understand why it wasn't like the tombstones at Epcot where they could like relocate them, right? Because like a lot of them are crumbling and falling apart, and like
here's my thing. I wish that the way that, again, I've said this before, is I understand that the ridiculous cost this would have ensued, but like, let people go and get their stone. Like, that would have been great, and I would have paid $1,000 for it. Wouldn't even have been a question.
Like, give you like a crowbar and like let you like rip it up.
Just take them all out, right?
And then put them to the side.
Yep, the best you can. You put them to the side. Even if I had half of the stone, that would have been the coolest thing.
That would have been better than nothing. Yeah.
Oh yeah, even honestly, like, yeah, and you could have charged $1,000 and just gotten those, $5 stones from which they probably get for wholesale $1 at Home Depot, and just replace the stones that people want to pay this exorbitant fee for, which would have been fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
I understand. I get it. I probably would have been upset too if they took it out, but especially, I mean, it was cool that they gave people like, you got a free like reprinted one,
which I never even got. Like, I never got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it was just like, it was more effort than I was willing to do at that point, which I should have, like, in hindsight, but you can still get them now.
Yeah, you can still get them now. Yeah, you can.
So I was kind of like, I think what it was is that the one that they were giving you for free, I think there was different options, and the one that was free, I think, was smaller, and I wanted the bigger one. It could have been something like that. I don't know. I feel like it was something like that.
What was that all the way? Like, was that back in like what 2019? Now, like that was a while.
They started all that well before COVID. So
yeah. So was that 2018? Oh my gosh. Yeah. I just pulled up an article, 2019. So it was May 2019. Yeah. Yeah. So you could have gotten a new tile. You probably can't anymore. I don't know. But I mean, you can get a random, you can get like a new one, but you can't, they had the free ones for you if you had one in there already. Didn't they? Wasn't it free? I think so.
I think that it was a limited offer thing, but
it was, but I think it was, I think there was specific sizes around it. I don't remember. I was lazy. I should have done it, and I just didn't. So I can't really be mad about anybody except myself. But
yeah.
Anyway, we got off topic here, so we should.
Surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's random ride right now.
You want to do random ride right now? You don't want to talk about this other thing?
I mean, unless you're going to make it quick. I mean, I got.
Oh, so it wasn't free. They were just giving it to you for $10. Okay.
Yeah.
So it was $10, not free. But still.
Okay, that must make it. That made it. I was like, I'm not doing it for $10. I was bitter.
It was angry. Yeah.
Damon has limited time, and he wants to talk about the random ride. So let's.
Well, but we can talk about this exclusive holiday thing that we don't know anything about.
Yeah, there's really nothing to talk about. There's just going to be an exclusive holiday thing that happens at the holiday parties for DVC members. Cool.
Yeah. I mean,
So-
it could be conjecture on what it is, but
Yeah, I mean, it's only 6 nights they're going to do it. And I mean, they did something like this last year, right? Where they did like they had a member exclusive at Gaston's Tavern. They were like free treats and a photo opportunity. So that's probably what they're going to do again. Let's be honest. Yeah. So anyway, so should I spin the wheel then? Wait,
I hate the wheel so much.
Let's do the ad really
The
quick.
wheel.
Let's do the ad really quick and then we'll do the wheel.
Okay.
All right, the sponsor of this episode is DVC Resale Market. DVC Resale Market, a World of DVC company, is the leader in the DVC resale industry with 13 former Disney Vacation Club guides and 3 former Disney Vacation Club quality assurance managers. If you're thinking of buying DVC, browse the largest selection of DVC resale listings anywhere with DVC experts on hand 7 days a week to answer your questions. If you're thinking of selling, turn to the friendly professionals at DVC Resale Market, where over 98% of listings sell within 30 days. In 2021, DVC Resale Market helped over 4,400 families join or add on to their memberships. Go to dvcresalemarket.com or call 1-844-DVC-PROS. That's 1-844-382-7767. And when you speak to them, be sure to let them know that Welcome Home sent you.
All right, 2 things. 2021 is a long time ago. And Tom, why did you come in so hard? Like in the beginning of that ad, you just came in hard.
What do you mean by came in hard?
This was very loud and yelly. Okay.
Really? Okay. I mean, I don't know. I've been told I'm very loud before, so I
Yeah, can we get some updated stats? Like what 2022? Like there was another year in there somewhere.
Let's see if it says it on their website. It says in 2022 they sold 4,400 contracts. So there you go. This is the same amount. We just got to update the year.
There you go.
There you go. Okay. So what were we gonna talk about? Oh, the random ride. Let's wheel. Let's do the wheel. The wheel that Damon hates. All right. So what do we got here? It's been a while since we've done one.
Yeah. So this week is Haunted Mansion.
All right.
And so, okay, this was actually random that we did this.
That's what I'm saying. Like I had no idea. I don't like that. I like to be planned before.
But it works out good because with the movie coming, I feel like the timing of this is really good to talk about.
I'm so pumped for the movie. It might actually.
I am too. It might actually be a movie that I want to see in the theaters. I probably won't, but I'm thinking about it, which I guess is saying something.
Yeah. That is saying something. I mean, Trevor, you said that was one you were thinking you would do in the theaters, right? Is that where?
It is like I don't go to theaters. I think I go about once a year now, and this might be my once a year movie that I go
once every like 5 years, 10 years, maybe. No, it could be 10 years. This might be it.
This might be the one.
I don't know. I'm gonna go first because I feel like you guys are gonna just drag on this one because it's like
there's a lot of history in this ride.
Yeah, there's a lot of history. I'm just gonna go first because I can't be drug into a 2-hour podcast today. So what is the random ride? What do we do? What do we talk about? Like I don't really remember.
We just go through the ride, man. Do you not remember like the?
I don't like for me.
So first of all, are we talking? Or I assume we're talking Disney World.
Yeah,
I think we should talk about all the iterations of it, including.
Oh my goodness! All right, I'm going to get my 2 sentences in because I feel like that's all I really have input wise. I don't love this ride. I don't necessarily care that much about this ride. The nostalgia factor of it for me is not high because my kids aren't in love with this ride either. I think it's a little cheesy. I would say, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I take my horror in different scoops, right? So for me, this is a fine ride. We do not have to go every time. We went during Halloween was probably the last time. I think we probably haven't been on this ride in the last 4 trips.
Oh, wow.
I don't think I've actually been to Magic Kingdom in 2 or 3 trips. I might be lying. This might be even like I haven't gone on this ride for 6 years. I don't know. I don't remember because there's nothing bringing me back there. Like this
is a must ride for me though.
No, definitely is not.
I can't wait for my wife to listen to this episode and tell me about what you just said, David.
I listen. It's not our vibe. Like in general,
it's fair. That's totally fair. Yeah.
It never really was. So it's tough for me to really feel a specific way about this ride because I don't. And listen, it's not a bad ride. And I get why people like it, and I'm cool with that. I'm about the movie, like coming up. Like I'm all about it. I like the history of it, but it is definitely not a must ride. It's in this weird location in the park too that I just like feels like you're going out of your way I don't know. It just feels that way. Like, I
Does
feel like I'm
it?
going out of my way. Yeah, I mean, to me, I don't know.
Okay, well, I guess because that's like the back
Yeah.
connector into Fantasyland, which I find is kind of a good shortcut getting over to Tomorrowland if you want to avoid the hub.
Unless you're by the, I know what you're saying, Damon, because like if you intentionally have to basically be by like where Small World is and Peter Pan, like, and if you're not in that little corridor there, it is a little out of the way, right? But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, just not my vibe. So again, like, not that I'm knocking it, but I don't really have a lot to say beyond that. So I'll let you guys go and talk about it for the next hour and a half, and put out a 2.5 hour podcast.
It's not going to be that long. No, it's so I'm somebody that I very much love the history of this ride. So there's some really interesting things about this one, especially like for Disneyland, right? So like this kind of, they had the building built for like a while, but then there was just nothing in it because they didn't really know what to do with this after Walt Disney died, right? There was like a lot of like back and forth. Initially, it was supposed to be a walkthrough attraction. Like there were talks about it being like a museum of the weird kind of thing. But like it never, they took them a while to kind of figure it out. And then they also I guess there were two factions of Imagineers that were trying to decide whether it should be scary or it should be funny. And so they obviously landed somewhere in the middle where it's kind of scary, but also just kind of funny and weird. Yeah. And as Damon put it, cheesy. It is cheesy, right? Like
it starts out serious, but by the end it's, kind of goofy, right? So
yeah, absolutely. But so there's some really cool, interesting things in all of the ones that are. But it's interesting though. Like after Walt Disney died, like the whole Museum of the Weird thing kind of was like pushed aside, and then they once they developed the Omnimover system, they kind of came up with where we're at now, which is obviously what they have at the Haunted Mansion. But there's like so many fun things about this ride, and it's and the different iterations of it too. Like I don't think there's probably, I guess, duplications of it, but like it's like Disneyland is completely different than Disney World, and then the Disneyland Park in Paris has Phantom Manor, and then Hong Kong has Mystic Manor, which might actually be the best iteration of the ride. If you ever watched a video of Mystic Manor,
Mystic Manor, I feel it's its own thing. Like I know it's still like a haunted house type ride, but it's so different. Like it is. I guess it's fair to say it was inspired.
Yes,
but it's like it's nothing like.
Oh, it's nothing like. It's completely different. Yeah, because the whole concept, the whole thing with ghosts in that culture is very different, right? So they couldn't really do a haunted mansion. Like they had to do something.
Well,
different.
Nobody would go on it if they did.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know about you, Trevor, but I think for me, like I said, this is a must ride for us when we go to Disney. Like we will ride the Haunted Mansion multiple times. And it's one of our favorite things. And there's some really I don't know if you want to talk about like any of the Disneyland stuff specifically. I maybe where we have our biases here, but
I could spend a long time talking about the differences between the two rides. Because they are, for as much as they're the same, they are very different. And even down to like the stretching room is a totally different experience in Disneyland than it is in Disney World, because in Disney World, the room doesn't move.
No.
And sorry, this is a little bit.
The roof moves. Yeah. If you don't want spoilers.
Well, you just spoiled it before we said spoilers, but yeah, the interesting thing is that they had to make an elevator in Disneyland because the ride actually exists behind the railroad. So they needed a way to get people underneath the railroad. So they take you down on an elevator and you go underneath and then go into the ride building. So that's always interesting when you see the differences between the two, and then things like the Escher room doesn't exist in Disneyland, which when I first rode it in Disney World, that actually threw me for a pretty big loop, because like you're used to like the pacing of the ride and like, oh, we're going to this room next and whatnot. And then when like a whole other room shows up that it's like, I've never seen this before. It kind of, it throws you off. Right. So I love I love stuff like that. I love the fact that, they didn't just make them identical between the two parks, because they could have, right? And the interesting thing too, I actually didn't look into this until just now, but so the one in Disneyland opened in 1969, and then the one in Magic Kingdom opened opening day of Magic Kingdom, which was 1971. So they're only 3 years apart.
Yeah, and that was an opening attraction for Magic Kingdom, whereas it wasn't at Disneyland. So,
exactly. But the fact that they're 3 years apart, that's close enough that they could have just done a copy paste and
absolutely could have,
been done with it. But they chose to go a completely different look in Magic Kingdom. They honestly expanded upon it. It's definitely a bigger ride in Magic Kingdom than it is in Disneyland. But yeah, like for you, it's it's one of these iconic rides. Like for us, it's a must ride. It's probably my wife's favorite ride. As a family, like we all will ride it. It's not, I guess we don't see it necessarily as cheesy. It's campy, but I think I like campy. I like that.
I like campy too. Yeah.
I like the fact that, it is kind of bridging that, when we talk about, you want to see more of the villains type stuff, or some more more of the dark side of Disney. I feel Haunted Mansion is kind of that gateway into that, because and I think the best thing about it is that, like, I've been to a lot of or we have like fairs and stuff that come through at different points here, and they have their haunted house rides, and like the Disneyland one is just, or like the Haunted Mansion is just so much better than any haunted house ride, because of the fact that it is accessible. Like it's not something where, kids are coming off of it crying for the most part. I mean, you do. Yeah. I mean, but really, like, I guess you don't see that the same way you do at a fair. I've seen kids like screaming at a fairground because of those haunted house rides.
Well, because there's no like jump scares in it, right? Like there's ghosts. There's nothing that's like jumping out at you, or like that.
Well, yeah, there is, but
there's the stuff that like in the graveyard scene, but it's not like, it's nothing that's really like that you could avoid it if you wanted to,
Yeah. And so, yeah, like I like it because of the fact that it is that kind of accessible. I did realize something as you were talking about the history of it. So, as this ride was being built, Walt Disney started it, and then he passed away, and then there was a bunch of debate back and forth about it.
Yeah.
I realize now that this could have very easily gone the same way as Alien Encounter.
Oh, could have, yeah.
Because it didn't, if they decided to go more scary, guests could have come back and said, hey, I don't want to ride this, or, this is not appropriate here. And it would have been shut down before any of us even saw it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, that's something to think about a little bit, I guess, that, it's a great example of, just the decisions of some people a long time ago resulted in something that we consider like classic Disney.
Absolutely.
Because it's, I think, they didn't know what they were doing at the time. And I guess it's also funny because it's a good reminder of, as much as we revere these things, we look at something like Haunted Mansion and go, oh, this is classic, it's a must do. It's like iconic Disney. When it was being made, everybody who was making it was like, I don't know. You kind of have to appreciate that. Yeah. And that actually, that helps me with, when there's new attractions coming out, people look at it and go, this, somebody's making this attraction, but it's not going to be as good as the classic ones. Like, why are they doing this? Right. And it's like, well, because if people don't do that, I don't know, and give it a try, you don't know when you're going to get the next classic ride.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like somebody has to take that risk. And they did take this risk with the Haunted Mansion. And I'm so glad that they did, because, I think, for us, obviously, and for a lot of people, it's such a cornerstone of both parks. It's amazing that in both parks, it's so unique, but it's such you can say you're going to Disney. Oh, did you go on the Haunted Mansion ride? Right. Or people that don't know say the Haunted House ride because, they, because they're wrong and they don't know. But
well, I find this interesting too, Trevor. This was they always planned to have a Haunted Mansion attraction at Disneyland. And in fact, they handed out flyers in 1961 at Disneyland saying that it was going to open in 1963. So they built the outside of it, though, in 1963. And then they previewed it in 1965 on World of Color, but it didn't open until 1969. That just tells you, how much they really tried to figure out what they were doing, because Walt Disney died in 1966. So they were trying to figure out what they were going to do. But one of the cool things about this is so many legendary Imagineers were involved in this, right? So Mark Davis, Ex Atencio, Claude Coates, those are all really legendary Imagineers. And then Raleigh Crump, who just passed away recently, was one of the amazing Imagineers. He and Yale Gracie, which if you've heard the name Yale Gracie, he's in the attraction basically. But they basically set up the first illusion shop at Imagineering, where basically I've heard interviews with Raleigh before where he's talked about how they just were able to do whatever they wanted. They just got to set up this big area and just start coming up with illusions and stuff. Right. And so that's a lot of what Imagineering does now is R&D stuff and just trying stuff out. And almost, a lot of it was came from this kind of place. But I always love, there's a couple fun stories that have always come from here where Raleigh Crump always tells the story how they had the janitors that had requested that they leave the lights on in the shop due to the creepiness of the audio animatronic ghosts. And he said, but instead they put motion sensors in the room that would turn off the lights and turn on the ghosts when triggered. And he said the next morning they came in and they found all the ghost effects still running and a broom lying in the center of the floor. And personnel called them and said the janitors will not be coming back. So, which is a great story.
Yeah.
I will also say too, one of the interesting things about the Disney World one, and I actually learned this on the Keys to the Kingdom tour. But it's also a legendary thing. If you look at a picture, or if you're looking at the Haunted Mansion, and you look really carefully at the top of the Haunted Mansion, there are chess pieces on the top of the Haunted Mansion, and this is
on
Disney
the spires.
World. Yes, they are chess pieces.
That's right. Yeah.
So the reason of that is that Mark Davis would go and have lunch, and he used to play chess. And so he would have a chessboard out on his desk. And so when he would go to have lunch, somebody would prank him sometimes and take some of the chess pieces and put it on top of the model for the Haunted Mansion at Magic Kingdom. And so as they were building it, they decided, okay, well, let's incorporate that into the.
It just worked.
Yeah.
With the
Yeah. So I think that's pretty cool and pretty funny. I liked that as a story about the Haunted Mansion. Another thing, though, I think the reason why it has such staying power to me is, first of all, the stretch room is still magical to me, right? Even though it's so simple, it's still just a really cool effect, and the way they set you up and get you into that room. And the way that they really make it feel like the room is stretching, right?
It's the tone of the ride, right?
Yeah,
it defines the tone of what you're going into as a pre-show.
Absolutely. And I mean, I will say this too, even though I've seen Disney do some pretty amazing things with special effects, there's some special effects that they do that I'm like, I don't know how they did that. That's amazing, right? I still think it's amazing every time I see the ghosts in the ballroom scene, right? Even though that's a super simple effect that's been around forever, there's never a time where I go through there where I don't think it looks really awesome still, and it holds up, it just really holds up, even though it's literally a technique that has existed since the 1800s. It just still really always amazes me,
Yeah, no, I get it. And like I said, I think that's why, it's so easy for us to rewrite is that, there's multiple effects like that. Even the bus in the library it's the same thing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's not, knowing the effect, knowing the science behind it doesn't invalidate how they presented the effect. Like it doesn't, it's a pure sign of, like you said, that kind of Imagineering and, letting Imagineers be creative. This is just one of those rides that really highlights that. And it's funny because, I feel like, or again, this is a personal opinion thing, is that, we hear sometimes about Imagineering and how, at certain points, like even recent news, like, that Bob Iger, is trying to rebuild the brain trust in Imagineering because they've lost some talent along the way. And like, I feel like, at certain points, they need to study the things that were done and not just to emulate them, but it's like, the Haunted Mansion is a prime example of when you give someone the ability to be creative and to make use of, all these different techniques, that you do get something very magical at the end of it. Like it's not just, it's not just a haunted house. It's a haunted mansion, and it has that life. And I know that I'm saying that ironically, like, because they're all dead, but it has that life to it as a, something bigger than the sum of its parts. And yes, I love saying that because I see that at Disney all the time, that, this is one of those rides that if you look at each effect individually, it's like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. Hey, that it's a, you said it yourself. It's a simple effect.
Yeah.
But it's how they implement and utilize those effects together is really what makes it such a great ride, and why, like I said, we can, every single time we go, we will ride it. And it's that ride. Like, if we don't know what else to do at like 9:00 at night and we're kind of winding down, it's like, well, let's go get on Haunted Mansion, because it's just, but it's not it's like that ride, right?
Yeah, it's that ride, but it's not like in a bad way, right? Like, you're excited to go on it still. It's not like,
yeah. Like I always enjoy, it's one of the few rides that, like, even when you get past the stretching room, how you go into that next room, and it's like, it's kind of packed, like, because they're funneling you into where you get on the Omni Mover, right? Even like that, like, that's a queue that I just enjoy, that queue, like, because there is so much crazy detail and thought put into it. Like, you can look around and you can see, like, there's details in pictures, like the way that they, the way that they do the lightning effects, the way that, the cobwebs are done across the lights. Like, it's deliberate. Like that's the part that gets me, is it's like you look at it and it's like, oh, that's a very rundown, dusty room. Somebody made that.
Somebody
yeah.
I made sure it stayed dusty.
Yeah, like it looks right without looking old. Like it, or it look. Sorry, I didn't say that right. It looks old, but it doesn't look like unkept. Like which is weird. Like,
it is a little weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say. So I want to say my first of all, Grim Grinning Ghost is also a classic Disney, right? So, like, written by Exitensio, right? So, like, that's a classic to me, one of my favorites. One of my favorite Disney songs. It's a song every time I hear it, I think of Disney and the Haunted Mansion, obviously, but it's like, it's just one of those ones that, like, is always there. It just has and to your point, right? It has like a fun vibe to it almost. It's a scary but fun vibe, because it's like the tune in the background is very like upbeat and kind of like fun, but it's also just like creepy voices and stuff. But
yeah, the lyrics are actually very
are crazy,
like, creepy. Yeah.
Listen to the lyrics of that one. But I think my favorite things on this ride, besides the stretch room is up there, right? But I love the singing bus in the graveyard. Like, I don't know why, that's always just one of my favorites. Like,
because they're synced with like the people singing the song, I think.
Yeah, I don't know, it's just cool, and like the facial expressions they make are kind of hilarious too. Like, I don't know why I love that piece, and like I mentioned too, the ballroom scene, of course, with the ghosts. is always a top for me. I just, it's one of those rides, man. And I really want to go on the Disneyland one. I would love to go on Mystic Manor too. I mean, Mystic Manor just looks amazing. But yeah, by the way, if you haven't seen what Mystic Manor is, like, go on YouTube and watch a video of it, because it is very cool.
It's a very early trackless ride. So that's part of what makes a difference too, is that it's like one of the first trackless rides, and they use it to great effect in a Haunted Mansion type scenes.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's probably the only one that's not an Omnimover. I think the rest of them are Omnimovers, right?
Because Tokyo Disneyland is the same as Magic Kingdom, which so that one they did pretty much a copy paste, and I actually don't know if they've had like all the recent updates to it, because it has been updated over the years and they've tweaked things and whatnot. I don't know if Tokyo Disneyland is one for one with Magic Kingdom anymore, but it's the closest to Magic Kingdom. And then Phantom Manor again Phantom Manor would be another one that I feel like you would have the same experience like I was talking about going from Disneyland to Disney World. That it seems like the same ride, but it plays out very differently because it has a very different story to it. Like because the whole thing about these rides is that there is a bunch of background that, it's not presented to you as part of the ride, but it's like, it's either through hints in the ride or even things surrounding the ride, because in Phantom Manor, it actually has ties into Big Thunder, because it's like the manor is part of the mine, or it was owned by the owner of the mine company, or something like that. Okay. Yeah. So again, it all has a different feel to it because of that. So there's and again, that's why I find the Haunted Mansion is one of those, it's just a fun ride because you can kind of get lost in the detail and the lore of it. Absolutely. Like, and I guess if you're into that, right? Like if you're not, I can understand where it's like, well, it's just a haunted house ride and that's it. But yeah, I love I just love looking at all the little bits and pieces that make it.
No, I agree with you. I think this is one of those rides where it's all about the story, right? It's all about that whole story. And I mean, there's just so many cool details and everything. I mean, it's just classic. It's a classic Disney ride. I mean, that's all I can say about it. It's the one we have to go on. So, and of course the one in Disneyland, semi-controversially, I guess, every year during the Halloween time changes and adds in Nightmare Before Christmas stuff, right? That's the only one that actually does changes, right? That changes, during the year. So, but yeah, I mean,
and even that's interesting. Like, I know I've kind of gotten on that. My only issue with it is that it runs way too long. Like it's like a quarter of the year that overlays on. But again, like you're saying, if you get to Disneyland, that in and of itself, it's Bizarro cranked up to 11 of the Haunted Mansion, because like all the rooms are like, it's the same room, but it's so different because like everything has changed. Like nothing from the original Haunted Mansion exists in Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
And so it's, I mean, like you won't find, like in the ballroom scene, like it's all like it's just all Nightmare Before Christmas. And even the thing they do there, or that, we don't get in Florida, is every year they actually do a gingerbread house. And they do a real ginger. I watched. There's a thing on Disney Plus where you can watch them making it and putting it in there, which seems incredibly difficult to even get it in there. But and the thing about that is that it's not the same every year. So that's one of the redeeming qualities of it, I guess, is that as much as I don't like that they keep doing the overlay as long as they do, the fact that the ballroom scene is very different every time you go, or every year it's different, because they greatly change the design of the gingerbread house. Like it's not just like, we add little things. It's like totally different every time. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I also too like even the queue line, right? Well, at Disney World anyway, right? Like the queue line has they installed that interactive queue line like I think it was like 10 years ago or so.
Yeah, the funny thing is, so the pet cemetery in Disney World is kind of up the hill to the right when you're like walking into the queue. In Disneyland, the pet cemetery, last time I checked, it's not accessible. I don't believe they like it because it's actually when you come out of the exit of the ride, you would go around a corner and there was like the pet cemetery is right there, but they actually walled it off. And I believe the last time I saw anything about it was somebody got past that wall and was filming and then, subsequently got kicked out of the park for it. Don't do that. But yeah, so they had a pet cemetery in the Disneyland one, but I don't even know why they shut it off, but it is a very different queue, like, because it's not interactive. Like it just kind of queues next to the
whole
house.
Thing is different, right? It's you like actually like walk into the house, right? Like, right.
Yeah. You walk right in through the front door. It's not like,
which is not what you do at Disney World, obviously. So
yeah. Anyway, yeah, Damon was right. We could keep talking about this for another hour, but is there anything? I think we kind of covered all the major stuff. Oh, actually, sorry, one more thing. And sorry, I have to bring this up because this. Do you know that? Okay, for anyone who hasn't played Walkabout Mini Golf, so it's a VR mini golf game. Tom and I have played it together.
We played it, yeah.
And they did a 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea golf course.
Yes.
And so you're in the Nautilus, and I was playing with my brother, and I actually pointed out to him that there's a pipe organ in the Nautilus.
There is, yeah.
And I was like, and I said to him, I'm like, oh, hey, that's the Haunted Mansion pipe organ. He was like, what? And I had to actually explain it to him, and I'll explain it now, is that the pipe organ in the Disneyland Haunted Mansion, so the one that's playing in the ballroom, is actually the prop from the movie 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, because they had a pipe organ in the Nautilus that was being played in the movie, and when they were done with it, they used it as a prop in the Haunted Mansion. So there is it's not just the ride. There is some historical
that's awesome
props in there too. So.
Yeah, I actually love the pipe organ in the ride too. But yeah, and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea too. But that's a cool course too. I mean, I'm trying to think of other fun facts about this one. Like I said, it's one of my favorites. Oh, I also like too when there's no wait time that it says 13 instead of.
Yeah, it's one of two rides that does that.
Yeah. That's the other being Tower of Terror, right?
So if you ever see a 13-minute wait, go get on the ride, because that means it's walk on.
It's walk on. Yeah.
Although
so many cool
I can't recall the last time I've seen a 13-minute wait for either of those rides. I think
it's been a little while. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's happened once since after COVID. I think I've seen it once for Tower of Terror.
Yeah.
But yeah, usually it's. Yeah, I miss those 13-minute wait times.
Well, yeah, that's I do too. But I mean, that is part of the great thing about the Haunted Mansion too, is it is high capacity, right? So usually there isn't that much of a line, like but it can get long. It's not that it doesn't get long. They really early on, this was like one of the ways that they really started doing that thing that they do now, where you have like several pre-show rooms. So it feels like you're not waiting as long, even though you are, right? Like you're still part of the queue and you're waiting, but you don't really feel like you're waiting because there's something going on in the they have these, especially with the Disney rides now, like a couple of the most recent rides have like 2 or 3 pre-show rooms, right? Like there's stuff going on. So it doesn't make you feel like you're waiting as long. And this is like one of the first iterations of that, really is that the whole stretch room thing, which was done, I think, by necessity at the time because of what you mentioned with the elevator needing to be there, right? So, but yeah, it's just there's so much cool history behind this one. I feel like we don't need to tell our listeners this one, but go and research more about it if you want. But
it's just like I said, for me, it's if I was going to be told that I was going to Disneyland and I only had like an hour, right?
Yeah.
This, like, I would actually like go, like, just be like, well, I'm going to go get a Haunted Mansion.
Yeah. Honestly, the two things I'd probably hit are Haunted Mansion, Big Thunder if it had a short line, or People Mover. Like, those are the three, I think.
Yeah. So for me, Pirates and Haunted Mansion are probably the two that they're pretty high up on the list. And I think the thing about Haunted Mansion is that like for our family, not all of us can ride like my wife can't ride Big Thunder. She doesn't deal well with faster rides. So one of the reasons that I really like Haunted Mansion is that it is a ride that, you know, even though the Doom buggies, you know, you only get two people to a Doom buggy. So, you know, we're still splitting up for that, but it's still something we can all ride together. Like it's very much a family ride. And it's for the same reason that I think we also like Pirates, is that we can all get on it together instead of, you know, well, you know, not everybody wants to do this type of ride, right? Like it's accessible to everybody. Agreed.
Yeah. I forgot too about the hitchhiking ghosts at the end, which have become kind of their own thing. You know, that's I always love at the end of the ride when they do the cool effect at the end where they, like, you know, switch your heads or they make your heads disappear, or, you know, whatever they do.
Okay, pop quiz. What are their names?
Oh God, don't make me do that.
Do you want me to tell you? Because I know
I
this.
Can't think of them off the top of my head. No, go ahead.
It's Ezra, Phineas, and Gus.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that fun fact today. I did know that. I just couldn't remember them. So
yeah. Well, it's funny. I always forgot Phineas for the longest time until Phineas and Ferb came out, and then
that helps. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. You want to talk about some 4th of July food?
Yeah. Let's put this one to bed for now and get back to the rest of the rundown.
Yeah.
All right.
Add it to the ghosts of the Haunted Mansion. So some of these food items are 4th of July only. Some are for the whole month of July. So let's see here. I'm just going to scroll down and see what I want to see. There's a 4th of July liege waffle over at the Connections Cafe, which is basically just it's just a waffle with a Mickey middle to it and some sprinkles on the other. There's just a bunch of red, white, blue stuff, right?
The waffles there are pretty good.
I've heard they're good. Yeah, I've heard they're really good. Yeah.
Yeah, we had the waffle once when we were there, and it was like, it's a good waffle. So, I mean, you know, waffle with sprinkles, even better.
Yeah. So
I'm not going to knock on that.
You can't knock on a waffle, right? That's you can't go wrong with that. I'm just looking to here. They have one of those shakes where they just throw a cupcake on the top of it.
Looks like a red velvet cupcake with blue sprinkles.
I want to know what this fries with mac and cheese and what looks like to be brisket and onion rings is. I don't even see it listed here. Maybe I'm missing it.
That's so they say.
Is it just the Regal? It's under Regal Eagle. Is that what it is?
Yeah, it says celebrate the regions of American backyard barbecue with classic dishes. That's all it says.
Yeah, I mean,
so
maybe,
I guess some plant-based items available on the. Okay, so I think they're just saying like go to Regal Beagle or Regal Eagle. Sorry,
Regal Eagle is on my to-do list of places to eat, but like there's just so much to eat at Epcot. Like it's hard sometimes to find a place. But I mean, I don't know. I just want to, like, you know, there's just too many options. Like I want to eat there, but I also feel like I don't know. Okay, here it is. Loaded burnt end fries.
Oh, okay.
So
burnt ends and fries,
cheese and onion rings. So yeah, that's exactly what I said it was. But that sounds delicious to me.
Yeah, yeah. The hard part is that it's in between a lot of other good different things, right? Like
that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And I live in one of the barbecue capitals of the country, so it's Yeah. That being said, go ahead. Sorry.
You know, even when I'm there, like we don't have. I mean, we have barbecue around here, but I know it's not the same as like Southern barbecue or like some of it is, but it's harder to find here. But the thing is that there's so many other things at Epcot that it's so hard to be like, well, I'm gonna sit down and have barbecue.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. There's just so many there's so many options available, right? Like, and but I say this, but I also know that the next trip we take, we're definitely going to that new Toy Story barbecue place because I've heard the food is good, and it seems like the atmosphere is really good there too. So we're definitely going to check that out next time. But we don't usually. Well, I say we don't usually. I mean, we went to Whispering Canyon, and they do barbecue there too. So I mean, we do it. But
the point is that it's not directly competing with other things like Toy Story. Yeah, you can go over to like Star Wars Land and stuff, but it's far enough away from other things that it's like you can kind of be like, I'm going to be in this area to eat this thing. Whereas in Epcot, it's like, well, I could stop at Regal Eagle, but there's like 5 other booths like just outside of Regal Eagle, and then there's like all these other restaurants and stuff. At
Hollywood Studios, I mean, they filled a need there by opening that. I mean, there's a couple good sit down restaurants at Hollywood Studios, but not as many as some of the other places, right? So like they really needed that. Like, usually our go-to at Hollywood Studios is Sci-Fi if you can get in, which is hard to get in, or 50s, right? Like those are the two we go to, but we've been to those a lot. So, it was prime for something new like this. So I think that we're definitely going to try to get in there next time around. But I'm just scrolling down, Trevor, on this list and looking at the Backlot Express Mickey apple pie cupcake, and I want to eat that. Yellow cupcake filled with apple pie filling with salted caramel, buttercream, cinnamon streusel, garnished with rainbow, silver, sparkle, and red, white, and red, white, and blue Mickey ears. That sounds delicious, and I want to eat it.
Yeah, I mean the apple pie filling in a cupcake is just awesome.
Well, and salted caramel buttercream, just have that all the time. Like, forget it.
So I actually went a little bit further down, and so this surprised me because so at the All Stars Resorts at the intermission or at the food courts, they have something called Sweet Summertime Favorites, which is a hot dog eclair with chocolate buttercream, iced sugar cookie fries, and a raspberry dipping sauce. And
I thought this was a hot dog.
I love this because it's one of these things, taking, food and making it look like other food, right? Like that misdirection thing. And so it's a dessert tray, but it looks like a hot dog and fries with ketchup, right? Or like,
some sort of dark sauce, like maybe barbecue sauce. I don't know. It's a dark sauce.
Yeah, I was thinking like, cause you have like fries and ketchup on the side, right? Yeah. Like that's kind of the thinking, but it's a dessert tray, and I love that. And I know it's not like, I'm sure it's good. It's just, I love the presentation of it.
Yeah. It looks amazing. I honestly, when I first rolled up to it, I was like, oh, that's an interesting looking hot dog. And it's like, oh, wait, it's not a hot dog at all. It's an eclair that looks like a hot dog. And the fries looked a little off to me, but I mean, so those are cookies. That's pretty cool.
It's hard to make convincing French fries, especially out of cookies. Like that's.
But I mean, I think it looks awesome. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
There's another cupcake over at Boardwalk. Cinnamon cupcake, apple pie filling, vanilla mascarpone. I would have that, but it doesn't sound as good as the one at Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, I think if I was going to go for anything, I would go to Old Key West for.
Where are you? Okay, all right. There.
4th of July layer cake. So this is a red velvet layer cake with white and blue buttercream filled with a patriotic sprinkle surprise.
Does that mean like there's the middle of it is filled with sprinkles? So if you cut into it, like sprinkles just dump out? Okay.
Yeah. But it looks good. Like I know it's not a cupcake, but I feel like it's got the right icing to cake ratio, in my opinion, because it's a layer cake.
I mean, but what about the Star Spangled Brownie? This graham cracker crust with chocolate chip fudgy brownie topped with brown butter caramel mousse, popping candy, and chocolate decor. That looks awesome to me.
Popping candy.
Yeah.
That's actually, I forgot about popping candy. That's that's an easy, 4th of July type thing, right?
Yeah,
fireworks. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's
good. So I mean, that one's that's at Centertown Market in Caribbean Beach, which I guess is probably easier to get to than Old Key West.
Probably.
Well, because you can take the Skyliner to.
Oh, it looks like they also have it over at Port Orleans too. So. Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
So there's lots of options. And then what is this Patriotic Wave? Oh, that's an alcoholic drink, but it looks
it looks cool though.
It looks like a rocket pop.
So yeah,
right, like
Trevor, I'll tell you what I saw the other day that I had to try was there was a Mountain Dew flavor that tasted like the bomb pops, the rocket pops.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried it, and it tasted exactly like a rocket pop as a soda,
really?
and it was actually really good.
That's dangerous.
Yeah, if you like that flavor, it was very sweet. I mean, it's very sweet, right? But if you like the flavor of the bomb pop, like rocket pop, bomb pop, whatever you call it,
yeah. They're called rocket pops around here. I don't know.
Yeah, I think pretty much the same deal.
Yeah.
What else we got here? I'm just scrolling here.
So Disneyland. So a Jolly Holiday has a 4th of July donut.
Okay.
Which cotton candy icing donut filled with strawberry combo, red, white, and blue whipped topping and sprinkles. So that looks something great to eat before you fall asleep at the table.
Can we talk about what's going on at Blue Ribbon Corn Dog over at Disneyland? Are you that far down yet?
Blue Ribbon. Okay, yeah. Mozzarella dog. Oh, whoa. Whoa.
Exactly.
Okay. So that is crazy.
Yeah. So if for those, I'll post this picture in the episode on Facebook, but and also the link will be on there in the episode. And this is 4th of July only. So this is a mozzarella dog, which I guess is just a corn dog without the dog piece. It's just a mozzarella.
It's melted mozzarella inside, like battered and I guess deep fried, yeah.
But they've dyed the cheese red, white, and blue, and it's dipped in batter, rolled in panko crumbs, fried, rolled in sugar, and served with a side of sriracha dipping sauce. But the picture they have on here is them pulling it apart, and it's red, white, and blue, like in layers. I can't even describe it. It's so cool looking.
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So
you know what it reminds me of? The Robin Williams movie Hook.
Yeah.
You know the scene where they were eating and like they had all the like food that was imaginary that came to life.
Yeah.
That's what this reminds me of.
I agree. Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. They also have one of those cupcakes that has, one of those shakes that has a full on slice of cake on the top of it too.
With a firework coming out of the back, it looks like.
Wait, is that, do they serve it to you like that?
I guess.
They don't mention it though in the description, but it's a straight
there's a full on firework coming out of the back of the thing.
Speaking of which, there were already fireworks going on in my neighborhood last night, which was Saturday night. And for those that don't know, 4th of July is Tuesday. This is what it's like living in the South.
You may have had Canadian neighbors because yesterday was Canada Day, because we're recording this on a Sunday, and Saturday was Canada Day, and we did our fireworks yesterday. So
no,
no, they're not Canadian. They're
people
just
in my neighborhood.
excited.
Yeah, people in my neighborhood just like to shoot off fireworks for like the entire week of 4th of July. But what I was going to say is I found a bottle rocket in my backyard this morning.
Oh no.
Yeah. So, I was like, I thought those sounded pretty close to my house last night. It's so close that literally there's one in my backyard, like right by my door. So it probably hit my house. So, yeah, my neighborhood literally is like a war zone on 4th of July. It's people have to spend thousands of dollars on their fireworks displays in this neighborhood. I don't have to go anywhere, but like literally I sit in my backyard and I have a full professional fireworks show with like, it's not as good as Disney, obviously, but it's like, the real fireworks. It's not just like stupid bottle rockets. It's legit fireworks. So I'm going to have that for the next 4 days, I'm sure.
It's actually illegal where I live for people to set off fireworks in their residence.
Yeah, it's illegal here too, but no one cares.
Well, you can't even, I guess the difference is you can't buy them here.
Oh yeah, no. See, we don't. I'm right on the border of South Carolina, and as soon as you cross over the border, it's just lawless. You can buy anything. Basically.
Yeah, I know. I actually have a friend that lives, or I have another friend that lives near you, and he actually him and his brother would sell fireworks during or before, leading up to 4th of July weekend because he lived in North Carolina. Yeah, you'd drive down to South Carolina, they would set up a booth and sell fireworks. So yeah,
exactly. I don't see anything else in this list that jumps out to me. I think that's
a lot of 4th of July stuff, and I guess as long as you're okay with eating blue dye, because I think there wasn't a single thing here that didn't have blue dye in it.
Yeah, and I don't know, if you eat blue dye, This is the problem with the Bomb Pop soda too, by the way. It turns things colors. That's all I'm going to say.
Yep. Mm-hmm. We all know. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Actually, it's funny. I wanted to bring up, I sent you guys a video yesterday. Did you see this video of what happened at my local theme park?
Yeah, I did see that. And you posted that on the Discord too.
I did. Yeah. So I live by Carowinds, which, if you're not familiar, is an amusement park that straddles North Carolina and South Carolina. It's actually in both states. It's on the border. So like when you're in one side of the park, you're in North Carolina, one in South Carolina. But they have one of the tallest coasters in the world here. And I guess it's a giga coaster is what they call it, right? And my wife has been on it. They've been on it. It goes 95 miles per hour. And Chris actually said in the group that he's gone on it several times this year, like a couple times already this year. But if you haven't seen the video, Google Fury 325, because one of the supports just straight up broke, and it was like that for like a week. And like somebody just noticed it and took a video of it. Like it's a crazy video to watch. Yeah,
they're actually lucky that didn't turn out.
It's insane.
Worse than it did, because our local theme park actually had an accident where the cars came off the track. But that was back in the 80s, and that's actually the reason why there is as much safety protocols around roller coasters now that there is, because unfortunately some people lost their lives that day.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But yeah, that's scary that that nobody noticed it, I guess. How
do you not notice it?
Yeah.
I guess
that tells you that they're not doing inspections like they should be.
Probably, yeah. I mean, that's definitely concerned. If you haven't seen the video, like I said, though, like Google it, because it's kind of a crazy video of like the train literally goes by and like the entire support is just detached from the.
Yeah, it just kind of pops, or like you can see it flex, right? Like the whole track flexes because it's not actually being supported by that.
It actually reminds me of when you stand under test track and it goes around the outside part of the track, and you see the track like flex out a little bit, but it's obviously meant to do that, right? Like imagine that same thing though, and there's just the support beam is just broken off. Like that's what it looks like. But yeah, but Chris was saying in our group, he was like, I've been on it like 4 or 5 times this year. It's like that would terrified me if I had been on it and saw that. So
that's why, if Disney closes something down to do maintenance, it's for a reason.
Yeah. I have an Indiana Jones thing on here, but really there's nothing in here I want to talk about. And I think we should skip that.
We talked about Indy, like some of the merchandise. What was that, a week or 2 weeks ago? So
something like that.
Yeah. I just like how they're saying, top ways to celebrate Indiana Jones in the park. Well, there's one place and you go there. And you either, I guess, so you go to Hollywood Studios to watch the show, or you go on the ride in Disneyland, and then they have their respective, theme or gift shops.
I will say, side note, I don't know if you saw this, Trevor, but they invited. Did you see they invited some of the guys that play Indy, some of the stunt guys that play Indy from the Hollywood Studios show to go to the premiere of the movie?
Yeah, I did watch that actually. That was very awesome. The one guy meeting Harrison Ford.
Yeah,
was I thought that was really cool.
That was cool. They did that. Yeah, that was cool. They did that. I will say, scrolling in this article, there's an Indiana Jones cake from Amaret's that looks really, really cool.
Is it the Idol?
No, it's all the way down. And also, there's a salt and pepper shaker of the Idol and the Stone. So, which is kind of funny. I actually kind of like that. It's all the way. Yeah, do you see that?
Yeah, I see it. Yeah,
it's kind of cool. Yeah, but that's all I really wanted to say about this. We can go to the last topic.
Yeah. So there was a sneak preview of Rogers the Musical.
Yeah, but it's open now, though, right? So, like, I watched the whole thing. I watched a video of the whole thing. First of all, I assumed this was going to be like a short little show. Right, but
no,
like 35 minutes.
Yeah, the Hyperion shows are not quick.
Yeah, it's a full-on show, and I have to say, if anybody has it, you could just watch the trailer if you want. Like, if you don't want to watch the whole thing, they put out a trailer, and I was pumped for this, and I think you were too, Trevor. Right, like after seeing it, right? Because I enjoyed how stupid this thing is, and I think. I was worried that Disney was going to try to take it seriously, which they did not. They leaned hard into the cheesiness of it.
And that's what I knew was going to happen, because every show at the Hyperion has been like that. Like they haven't, while it's not that they don't take their job seriously, but they, like you said, they lean into campy, they lean into, cheesy, breaking the fourth wall when they can. Like it's pretty much exactly what I expected it was going to be, which is, it's a great reason to go to California Adventure.
Well, especially since it's only running for this month and next month. I mean, they could always extend it, but like it's only running for 2 months. But
the beautiful thing is that they can change the shows a lot easier at the Hyperion than a lot of other things. So if it gets enough demand, you may find like they may just extend it for the next year.
They could. Yeah. I mean, I think they're taking a little bit of a risk with this actually, because it's not a reference that everybody knows, right? And if you didn't watch Hawkeye and you don't know going into it that it's like this really cheesy recounting of like the whole
Avengers,
the whole Avengers story, like because to your point, they break the fourth wall. Like in the beginning, they make a joke about how Nick Fury sings in the show, and then later Nick Fury's singing and has a whole like number, and they make Nick Fury like super silly and weird, and like I mean the whole thing's great. I mean I really enjoyed watching it, and of course the big part you stay for is the final number. The Save the City is the song, right? So like that was what they showed in the Hawkeye show, right? But and all the stuff beforehand you didn't really see. But I mean, I will say like for a stage show that's only going on for 2 months, they have the whole effect of Steve Rogers going from scrawny to muscle bound Captain America in like the machine, and it's a pretty cool effect. I mean, they have a tiny guy and he turns into a big guy. I mean, I'm sure it's a simple thing, but it's it's well done. I mean, the sets are really nice. It's well done. They have really good singers. I mean, I was very impressed when I watched it, and I was just watching something that somebody took on their cell phone, So,
and it goes back to, what I said earlier about how, Disney can take effects and, how they use them matters as much as, whether or not they choose to use the effects. Like the Haunted Mansion stuff is simple. The changing actors stuff, it's a little more complicated, but like you said, it just further highlights, even when it's not serious or what, if it's a show like this, like Disney has a weird way of making it seem like they're not taking it seriously, but they are.
Obviously they do. Yeah. They obviously do. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, listen, I encourage you to go watch it. If you can see it in person, great. If you haven't seen the whole thing, just to give you what this is all about. If you haven't watched the Hawkeye show, which actually was surprisingly good, I really enjoyed it. And Hawkeye's a whatever character in my mind, but I really liked that show. But basically, it's the first episode of the show, and they essentially made a musical just to annoy Hawkeye. Like that's literally what they did. Was what could we make that would annoy Hawkeye as much as possible? And that's what Rogers the Musical really is. And it like they reference it all throughout the show. Like there's posters for it all over the place. So like in this fictional MCU universe, like it's a very popular musical. But like, the costumes are kind of bad, and like the people they have playing like all the Avengers are like, you gotta watch.
Like you said, it's meant for the character of Hawkeye to be like, ugh, like just you guys,
like I almost died, and you're making this crazy, silly Broadway show. Yeah, like so. It's if you haven't watched it, check it out. Yeah. That's all I got for this week, Trevor. I think we should wrap this thing up. We talked longer than I thought we would, considering the lack of topics this week. So
well, but Damon was right. The Haunted Mansion stuff was going to take us a way. So
yeah.
It's good though. Yeah, we hadn't done a random ride in a while, so it was nice to kind of dive down into that again.
I agree.
I miss doing that. Yeah.
I miss doing it too, especially with things like the Haunted Mansion, where there's so much cool lore surrounding it.
Yeah. All right. I guess we're ready to wrap up. Unless you got anything else you want to talk about.
Wrap it up.
Okay. All right. As usual, if you guys want to reach out to us, you can always find us at welcomehomepodcast@gmail.com. Send us your questions, send us your trip reports, anything like that. We love hearing from you guys. If you want to follow us on social media, you can find us on Facebook as Welcome Home Podcast. You can find us on YouTube as Welcome Home Podcast. You can find us on Instagram as Welcome Home Pics. If you're on Facebook, make sure you check out our group, Welcome Home Disney Waitlist. It's the best place to talk about Disney stuff with other listeners of the show and people who are just, downright Disney fans. It's, a lot of great people in there that will answer your questions, whether it's about DVC or Disney or, just talk about, stuff that you guys love about Disney. It's a great group to be in if you're looking for a good group on Disney, because sometimes it's hard to find them. So
somebody posted the other day it's like they've never been in a group that's been this friendly or something like that. I forget exactly what they said. I don't know if you saw that post, but they were asking questions about cruises, and they just said, I've never had people be so nice when you ask questions like this in a group. So
yeah. So yeah, if that's what you're interested in, please come check it out. And if you'd like to help support the show, you can go to store.welcomehomepodcast.com and check out our different merchandise, t-shirts and mugs and all kinds of great stuff there that you can get. If you're planning a Disney trip and you need a couple more shirts, maybe grab some Welcome Home shirts. Or if you would rather use Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/welcomehomepod and check out our different levels of support there, which has exclusive merchandise that you can only get from Patreon. And anyone who supports the show through Patreon also gets access to the Discord server, which is yet another place that we have some of our great listeners, and we have some more intimate conversations and share stuff like Tom's local park not maintaining their coasters. So yeah.
By the way, that post in the group was from Erica, who said, I know there are some people who enjoy cruising in this group, and frankly, you are some of the best Disney people I've ever encountered on the internet. So there you go.
All right. I will happily wear that badge.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah. So last but not least, if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, please leave us a review. 5-star reviews actually help more people find the show because of the way algorithms and the internet works. So if you want to help more people discover the show, please leave us 5 stars. And if you're on iTunes, we'd love to, see your feedback on the show. We get great reviews from people all the time. So if you want to share that with us, please do. And we do read those out on the show whenever people post them. So I don't think we have any this week, though, do we?
No, we don't. Yeah. So we don't have any this week, but. Don't forget to subscribe to Welcome Home Podcast so you can be reminded every time we release a new episode. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, just about any podcast app out there. You can find us. Just a reminder to our listeners, Welcome Home Podcast is for entertainment only. We are not employed by the Walt Disney Company, and as such, all opinions we express on the show are our own. So please talk to a Disney cast member or DVC representative or somebody from Disney for more information about anything we talked about today. Huge thank you to our sponsor of this episode, DVC Resale Market, and of course, World of DVC, for continuing to be a sponsor and a supporter of the show. Please check them out. Join us next time for more Disney Parks discussion. Of course, more DVC talk. We hope to see you all real soon.
This is Skipper Albert Awol, the voice of the jungle, signing off from Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Do a huddle when we hit a chair. How she can cuddle is no man's affair. I looked around from pole to pole, found her in a sugar bowl.